Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, I'm Patty, and on Mondays I make gnomes and animals, and on Thursdays I do budget-friendly home decor and gift packaging ideas. Today I'm going to bring you a little Chicken Little inspired little chicken. He's made with a styrofoam ball, a little styrofoam tube, got little feathers. If you want to know how to make this cute little guy, stick around. I'll show you how. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. Okay, we're going to start with a white piece of 6.5 by 6.5 Sherpa. And we're just going to go ahead and comb it to kind of make it smooth out. Kind of makes it a lot more fluffy. Then I'm going to take a 2.3-inch styrofoam ball. I'm going to just glue it down to the bottom. And then I'm going to start pulling my fabric in and gluing it down. Now you're going to start on both sides. And then we're going to start pulling in the other sides and the corners. And we're going to start trimming it off as we go. So once it gets completely glued down, the excess that's sticking up, you are going to trim that off. Just make sure you don't trim off so much that you can see the ball. You want to make sure that you get it still smoothed in there and solid, closed up solid. And this is going to be towards the back of the little bird, and you're not going to really see it. Once you get it closed in, it was pretty solid. You didn't even notice it. Just keep going. I'm taking a little bit of time on this because I want you to really see how to get this part, because this is the main focal point of this this little guy. But you can see how it sticks up there after you get it glued in, how much excess is on there, and that just needs to be trimmed off. Okay, then when we get it completely glued in, we're going to go ahead and comb it just to smooth it out. Just take your comb, just kind of smooth it out, and it'll be pretty smooth back there. Okay, next we're going to take a 1-inch styrofoam tube, and we're going to cut it at 3 inches in length. And this is going to be for his body. Next, we're going to take a 3.5 by 3-inch piece of Sherpa, and then we are going to cut a dowel stick 3 3/4 inches in length and sharpen it. Go ahead and push the dowel stick down into the tube, probably about 1 inch. And then we're going to put the blunt side in there, and we are going to put the other side to the front. Then we're going to cut it off a little bit because it was a little bit long. So cut it to 2 3/4 inches in length. And kind of push that in a little bit all the way around, because that's going to be his neck, and we want it in a little bit smaller than the rest of the body. Then we're going to go ahead and glue our stick in. And if you put the glue on the stick instead of the styrofoam, it won't melt the styrofoam. And then we're going to go ahead and push it in. Now just make sure that that part that you glued in is in towards the back. And then we're just going to go ahead and glue that in. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and trim the body fabric off a little bit more. So it's going to end up being 3 inches by 2 1/4 inches. And then we're going to go ahead and glue it in. That's the 3 inches, the long onto the long side, and going around the body is a 2 1/4 inch. And just take your time and get this glued in really good. And you want to kind of meet at the center seam on this and not overlap it. If you need to trim yours a little bit more just to make sure that it does meet in the center and not overlap, then go ahead and trim it up a little bit more. And just kind of take your time getting this one really glued in, because this is going to be his body. And then meet the seam right there, right up against the other seam. And then go ahead and glue up around his neck. Push it on up there so it's actually glued in towards the head a little bit more. Next, we're going to go ahead and make the hands. I am just going to take some oven baked clay. I got this at Michael's. It's just a white clay, and I'm going to use this mold, and I'm just going to really push it in here to get it in here good. If you roll the little fingers out first, you can get them in there between the little fingers. Just kind of open it up a little bit, push them in there, but you want to make sure that you get your hands pretty full. And then when you get this completely full, we're going to add a little bit of a palm to the bottom of his hand just to kind of give it a little bit more depth right at the bottom instead of it being flat on the inside. Okay, next we're going to just go ahead and remove it, and we're going to go ahead and attach a wire to it and bend his fingers down. That wire is about 4.5 inches in length. Next, we're going to make a little 1/2 inch ball. We're going to kind of roll it out into a log, and then we're going to roll both ends out to make them a little bit more pointy on the sides, and this is going to make the beak shape. And then just take an X-Acto knife and then just cut a slit on all the way through it. Now just kind of do a slit, turn it, and do another slit so you don't drag it through it. And then give him a little smile. Then to make the eye, we're just going to roll a little bitty log, smash it out, and then we're just going to cut this in half, and this is going to give us our eye. Now this is air dry clay for his facial features. This is not oven baked clay. Just kind of want to push up in the middle so it kind of has a little bit of curve on the bottom, and that's how that one's going to look. Then we're going to roll another one into just like a little bitty log, and we're just going to put that down for the other eye, just like a little straight slit like that. Just kind of shape it out because you want it to look about like that. And then we're going to make some little eyebrows. I'm just rolling them out and making a little curve on them. And then I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to put some little crisscrosses in it to kind of make it look like eyebrows, more like eyebrows, like it has hair in it. Just kind of shape them like that, or shape them however you want to, but that's how I'm shaping mine. And then you're going to let all this dry. You know, I would let it dry probably overnight before you glue it on. Next, we're going to make the glasses, and I'm just taking a 3mm wire, and I'm just going to shape these. I'm pushing it to the back. I'm taking one little rod straight back. Then I'm going to go ahead and bend this one, and then I'm just going to roll it around a dowel rod to make the shape. This is about a 1/2 inch dowel rod. And then just curve that on around. You're just shaping these into the shape of some glasses. If you can find glasses already made, that's great, but I went ahead and made mine. Just kind of shaping them up to just kind of till they look like glasses. And then put the little nose area in, kind of curve it up. And then we're going to do another little circle about a 1/2 inch away from that one. And these actually, I think these are closer to maybe 3/4 inches in diameter, these little glasses. Then go ahead and bend that back. Leave a side piece, bend it back, and then cut it off. And then we're gonna paint these with like a spruce green colored paint. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and make his legs and his feet. We're taking a 5.5 inch piece long of the same 3mm wire, and we are just going to shape it into little chicken toes, just 3 little toes. Just kind of bend it back and forth till you get it shaped with the 3 little toes. And these don't have to be perfect because we are going to cover them up with clay after a while, and you can make, and then bend your wire back up and go all the way up to the end of this one, the other one, and cut that off. And then do exactly the same thing with the other leg. Then we're just going to kind of wrap them around each other. Just kind of make sure it stands up good, and then we're just going to kind of wrap them. And then do the same thing with the other foot. Okay, next I'm going to take the eyes. I'm just going to put a little dot of white on them just to kind of make them look a little bit more reflective. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my toes on my feet, and I'm just going to squeeze them in with my pliers. And then I'm going to start covering these with some orange oven baked clay. And don't worry so much about him standing up so perfect because we are going to mount him to a platform. I did get mine to stand up afterwards, but I think he looked really cute on the platform. So we'll just go ahead. Don't worry so much about getting them straight, but get your get your wires straight. See how mine bends in right there? Don't do that. Make them stand up straight. And then go ahead and take your orange clay, and then we are just going to start putting it around the toes. And you can make his feet as big as you want to or as little as you want to. I'm just kind of really putting them as close to the wire as I can where you don't see the wire. Okay, and just keep going and do the same thing till you have all the toes filled in. And then on the back part, we're going to go ahead and fill that in as well. Put some on the bottom. Just kind of close all that up. And then we're going to put a little bitty claw out the back. And just kind of get it all smoothed in real well. And then we are going to bake these at 275 degrees for 25 minutes. Let's go ahead and cut your pattern pieces out. I've given you that in the description below, and we are going to glue the facing sides together just at the top part of these right now. That's the top part of the pants. Just the inside inseam, just on the top part. Then we're going to open them up, and we're going to glue down each side, facing sides together. And do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, then we're going to open up the bottom inseam, open it up, and we're just going to glue in a half circle all the way around there. Then let these dry real good, and then we're going to turn them right side out. And I'm just taking pliers to do that. These were a little bit tight, you know, but you can get these turned in. And I'm just using felt fabric for these. That way I didn't have to hem them. And then I went ahead and took mine and ironed them open. Just kind of pull on them a little bit to kind of get them opened up real good. And then just take a real quick iron just to kind of iron them. You don't want to iron them too much because you don't want to melt your glue all over the place. But you can iron these just a little bit to get them opened up good. Okay, next I'm just going to go ahead and paint the beak and the eyes with some glossy accents just to give it a little bit of a shine. And you can paint it with any kind of coating you want to, but just to shine it up a little bit. We're going to make his comb, and we're going to cut the pieces out. We're going to cut 2 with felt and 1 with chipboard. The chipboard one is smaller than the felt pieces, and it's going to go in the center, and this is what's going to really hold it up. And I've included this pattern in both a PDF to hand cut or an SVG if you want to cut it out with a cutting machine. Then I'm taking an inch piece of wire. I'm just going to attach it right on the top part here, and I'm just going to glue it in before I put my other piece over the top of it. And that way we will have a way for him to stick it into his head so it will stand up. Then go ahead and put your other felt piece over the top of here and just let that glue in real good. Then we're going to pick it up and we are going to go around the edges and glue it in real well. Just kind of squeeze it together so you don't see that chipboard at all. Next, we're going to take some more of the orange clay and we're going to go ahead and make his legs. I'm just going to roll it in a ball, then roll it out with my rolling pin, and I'm going to cut these to about 1 inch. So you want both of them to be about 1 inch. You're just going to go ahead and wrap it around that wire and then just go ahead and smooth it out. Now, I've made some modifications to his leg a little bit later, so if you see his leg stuck on his body as we're going through the video and I haven't put them on yet, don't worry about it. Just put his legs aside. We're going to cover those at the very end. And same thing with the pants. You may see his pants on him in some of the video, but we haven't actually put them on until you see me tie them off. And then after you get those completely put together and smoothed out, you're going to bake them back in the oven for 275 degrees for about 20 minutes. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and attach his comb. Go ahead and put his glasses on so you know exactly where that needs to go. And I'm just going to poke a hole in it with my X-Acto knife when I figure out exactly where I want them. And then I'm going to poke it with a hole on the first little rod to mark where that one goes, because there's 2 little rods coming out there, 2 little pieces of wire. And then we're going to go ahead and glue those in. Just lift them up and then go ahead and glue them in. You want it kind of coming over the front part of his face a little bit. Okay, next we're going to take his glasses, and where they're separated right there, we're going to put some E6000 glue and we're going to clamp them together. We want to try to get these to be closed up right there. Just don't put so much, but go ahead and clamp them and set them aside. Now we're putting the pants on and we're going to go ahead and tie these off. And tie them off pretty tight because you don't want them coming back off. And then go ahead and cut your excess string off. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and take the glasses and we're just going to bend the tips of them in the at the end of them, because we are going to poke those into his head. That's what's going to hold it on. So go ahead and bend them forward and towards the head. Figure out exactly where you want them. We're going to mark them with an X-Acto knife, and then we're just going to go ahead and push them in there. Then we're going to come back in and glue them in here in a minute. And do exactly the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and glue his eyes on. We're just going to take some E6000 glue and some hot glue. You don't need a lot, and we're just going to go ahead and put his eyes on. And it was easier for me just to take some tweezers because this piece was so small. So I could get it in the right place. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and attach his beak. Same way, make sure his smile is facing upward. And then we're going to do the same thing with his little eyebrows. But make sure you use some E6000 glue because you do want to make sure that this stays on good. Look how cute he's looking. Then we're going to go ahead and put his eyebrows on. And we're just using the hot glue on this because these are little pieces. Next, we're going to do his arms, and I'm just taking one of the little, the smallest of the little hair noodles, and I'm just kind of bending it over to see where I want them. But we are going to cut these off at 1 3/4 of an inch. Now, I have them a little bit longer right now in this picture, but I'm going to show you here in a second exactly how long we cut them off. Go ahead and take your wires out. And this is where I tried to figure out how long they wanted them to be. And so I want them to be at 1 3/4 inches on both of them. And then go ahead and run the wire back through for his arms. Then we're going to go ahead and paint those because we could see this through the Sherpa fabric. So go ahead and paint these white. Okay, next we're going to take the legs and go ahead and untwist the 2 wires. We're going to go down to just 1 wire on these. And these are where I'm making the modifications. I know there's a lot of steps in this one, and they kind of seem like that they're not all together, but by the time we get to the end, he will assemble super cute. I just had to do it this way. There are a lot of little components made for him. Just go ahead and straighten it out, and then we're going to bend this over here in a minute. Just go ahead and push it right up in there so it does go up into the hole, and you create a hole into his leg, into the tube that's his body, because we're going to put these back in here in a little bit, but we are going to bend our wire over here in a minute. So go ahead and just bend the wire over, and then we are going to put these in with some styrofoam at the end, so don't worry about the legs right now, but just go ahead and get your wire bent over. You just want to make sure that you don't have any sharp edges on it. Next, I'm going to take a 2 1/4 inch piece long fabric, and I'm just going to roll it up, and then I'm just going to cut it off. You only need 2 1/4 inches, and then we're going to make 2 arms out of this. So just roll it up until it meets the opposite side on the Sherpa, because we're just going to kind of seal it in. We're not going to overlap the fabric. You don't want them too bulky, and then we're going to come back in and we're going to trim them a little bit shorter here in a little bit, just the Sherpa fabric itself. Just fold them where they meet in the middle. And then do the same thing with the other arm. Okay, next we're going to make the shirt. This is a 5 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece of fabric. And we are going to glue down the 4 1/4 inch side. And just fold that over and let that dry. And then we're just going to fold it over before we turn it right side out. I'm folding it over probably maybe a 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to take the other side and I'm going to fold it to it. Now go ahead and glue this side down. What we're going to do is we're going to meet in the middle on both sides. So go ahead and turn this one in, and we're just going to meet in the middle. So the overall length of his shirt is going to be 2 3/4 inches in length. And just make sure when you get it glued, you get it on there, both sides of the shirt are the same length before you glue it. Okay, then we're going to turn it right side out, and we're just going to come up over the pants area and drag it on up to the top. And you want to make sure that your seam is in the back. Okay, when you get it to the top, we're going to fold the edge over at the top about maybe a 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch, and then we're going to glue it down like as if it's a collar. And you want to come down about that far from his neck because he does have a neck. And then just go ahead and glue that collar down. And then go ahead and pull his shirt on up a little bit, and then we're going to glue it underneath right at his neckline. So you want to just leave just a little bit of neckline for him. Okay, next we're going to do the sleeves. We're measuring 2 inches by 4 inches, and we're going to fold them over on the 4-inch side. And then we're going to fold this other side over to kind of meet it in the middle. Okay, then we're going to wrap it around his arm and figure out exactly how long we need them because we are going to glue them together. And then we're going to turn them right side out. So make sure you have enough to turn him right side out. About that much right there. I don't have an exact measurement on that, but when you put yours around your arm, you'll see exactly what you need to do. It's a little bit more than half. Then go ahead and glue the facing sides together. Let them dry, then we're going to turn them right side out. And I'm just going to use a pair of pliers because that was the easiest way to turn it right side out. It was a little bit tight right there, but pliers, no problem. And then we're just going to slide this right up over the top part of his arm. And then we're just going to bend our wire over and we're just going to attach it right to his body. Go ahead and glue all that at the top part too. Just kind of close it up right around that wire. And we're just going to bend our wire over here in a minute and we're just going to go ahead and attach it to his body. About right there. And just take your X-Acto knife and go ahead and poke a hole in there. Just kind of make sure you got his shirt glued in there first, really good around the neckline, and then we're going to go ahead and just cut it with an X-Acto knife. And this was had pretty thick fabric, so I went ahead and took another little wire, ran it through just to get it through there. I'm trimming off my wire a little bit, and then just go ahead and push it on in there. And go ahead and push the whole arm up into there. And do the exact same thing with the other sleeve. Okay, then we're going to start trimming these up a little bit because they are a little bit thick. His arms were a little bit too thick for me. So I'm just coming around the edges of it, kind of pulling it out a little bit and just go ahead and trimming it off. And then we're going to trim off a little bit more here in a minute after we get them completely glued in. Go ahead and pull the arm back out and we're just going to go ahead and glue these in. Just make sure that your seam is facing downward and that his hands and his thumbs are facing forward. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and give him a good haircut here. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the legs. We are going to cut that same 1-inch styrofoam into 2 1.5-inch pieces. And then we are going to roll them onto the counter to get all the ends off of them. And then we are going to roll them to kind of make them a little bit smaller. So just take a little bit of time on this because you want to make them just a little bit smaller. And they will shrink down a little bit. Then we're going to go ahead and take a dowel stick, run it all the way through it so that you can have a hole right through the center of it. And that's a 1/4-inch dowel stick. And then get all the styrofoam off of it. And then we are going to stick it up into the pants legs on both sides. Just push it all the way up in there as far as you can get it. And then we are going to take our legs and stick these through these. Then we're going to just run both legs right up through that styrofoam with about maybe a 3/8 of an inch hanging out the bottom of them. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue those inside the pants. Now you can glue the legs inside the tubes too, but they went in there pretty tight and we are going to mount him on a board. So if you want to glue those in, you can, but I did not. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take some feathers. I'm just going to poke a hole right into the back of his pants. And I'm just going to attach 3 feathers to these. And I got these feathers at Hobby Lobby. You can use any kind of feather you want. I'm just using 3 of them. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue them in. Okay, next I'm just going to take a little plaque, and it's like about a 5-inch plaque, and I've got this grass at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to glue this on the top and down the sides of this, and then I'll just cut it off flush with the back. And this glued in pretty good. I mean, it was not hard to do this. Just kind of hold it as you're going around, but it does glue in real well. And then just go ahead and trim it off even with the back. And then we are just going to glue him to this. And I'm using E6000 glue and hot glue. And I'm just going to mount him right down to this little mound. Oh my gosh, he turned out so cute. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and give me a like. If you want to see future videos, be sure and subscribe. Ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.